We would be honored if you would join us.
Spring training has come and gone after a 99-day halt of operation, but of course, folks, it is time for the 2022 Major League Baseball season. Welcome in, folks, to episode 2 of Between the Bases, the Intergalactic Sports and Entertainment Network's baseball exclusive podcast, live here on this Tuesday, 2 for Tuesday here, April 5th, 2022, alongside our good man, John Alcorn and James Gonzalez, yours truly, Callan McClurg, joining you folks here tonight on this Tuesday. Another 2 for Tuesdays. We have the Marvel Dudes podcast coming your way later tonight before we get, in fact, set for episode 2 of Moon Knight later on this evening. Mr. Alcorn, 2 days to go till the opening day of Major League Baseball. My man, good to see you. How's it going tonight?
You know, we're good. Just came back from a work party. So that was super cool. But, yeah, turns out they are having a baseball season, but I just got some big news that the Oakland A's have canceled their season because they pretty much traded everybody away. I heard this 18-year-old at the Walmart is getting to be their shortstop. So that should definitely be fun. And, well, screw the Dodgers and screw the A's.
And we also, folks, welcome in another loyal viewer, but also, of course, one of our good men as well. Our good man, Big B, Brandon Herrera, joining us tonight from coast to coast, just fresh out of Tuesday Night Mania over on C2C. Brandon, I know, man, a lot of optimism now with the Twins after the pretty nice rebuild of the offseason. But, Brandon, welcome to Icing, buddy, and welcome to Between the Bases, my man. How we doing tonight?
Doing good, like you said. Just got off of actually 2 back-to-back shows. Had my own on-deck show and then Tuesday Night Mania. Thought I'd jump off for a little bit, talk some baseball with you guys because that's one of the sports I really love. So, what's up?
Oh, hey, man, we're doing fantastic. We want to welcome you again to Intergalactic Sports and Entertainment. And, of course, our good man, James Gonzalez, also joining us, ball in hand as well from Mr. Gonzalez. JG, welcome aboard, man. How we doing tonight? Good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to be here. You know, I can't wait for the baseball season to start on Thursday. Of course, the three-way series for the Angels commencing tonight against the Dodgers. And we play the Astros, John's team there Thursday. So I can't wait to be there on opening day. Ohtani on the mound. That should be fun. So I'm happy to be here, no doubt.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Again, folks, we're going to run through all the divisions, run through all of the entire ordeal here, though, with Major League Baseball. Talk about, again, divisions, talk about who we have winning and perhaps a World Series champ as well. But, of course, folks, we invite your input if you're a baseball fan. Again, Between the Bases is Intergalactic's baseball exclusive podcast, talking baseball all year round. Again, this is our second full episode. Again, join us via Facebook or on Twitter. And, of course, drop your live input, questions, comments, concerns, or what do you want to get off your chest, though, about your ball club. Again, in our live chat box, we'll do our absolute best, though, of course, though, to read your commentary as, in fact, our program does, in fact, prolong on this Tuesday night. But, of course, though, guys, before we actually get to baseball tonight on the Major League level, you guys probably saw yesterday, and for our viewers out there who probably don't know, but, again, I've been able and thoroughly blessed for 13 years to be able to provide my voice to many sporting events here in San Diego, professional hockey, professional indoor soccer, college athletics. And I recently, just 24 hours ago, literally, to the panel here, had a chance to fulfill a boyhood dream of announcing for the Padres in some capacity. I got to do it one time when I was 10 just to announce one leadoff hitter. But, though, James and John and Brandon know, though, but if you folks again don't know, though, but yesterday on Monday, I was actually very fortunate and blessed to actually be asked by the Madison High School Warhawks here in San Diego to be their public address announcer for their game, fellas, at Petco Park here in San Diego. They played St. Augustine High School last night. This was my view and vantage point from the PA spot at Petco last night. And I think I wrote this, fellas, when I made the announcement on the 31st, I was going to be able to do this game was, here I am, born and raised here in San Diego. I've lived and died with this sport and this organization my entire 27 plus years on this planet. And, I had ambitions of either playing for the team or announcing for the team. And, I grew up listening to Bruce Binkowski, who, again, folks, Bruce is the true voice of San Diego sports. It is in no way, shape, form, or size me by any stretch of the imagination, but hearing Bruce and Bob Chandler and Frank Anthony, now my good man Alex Miniak, who I was in his chair last night, and being able to hear my voice echo over this 42,000 seat ballpark, and knowing that this is where Fernando Tatis Jr. plays and Manny Machado plays, and where Trevor Hoffman pitched for a little bit before he went on to Milwaukee and retired, and being there with my dad when the Padres won the division title in 2005, and being there when Trevor passed Lee Smith for the all-time Major League saves record, and all the other stuff that I've seen at Petco, and being able to be in this position. It may not have been for the Padres, but it was still good enough for me, though, John, James, and Brandon, to actually get this experience again. And, of course, the picture of me after the game concluded. And by the way, if you're wondering, St. Augustine did win 13-3 last night over Madison. And again, though, John, I think it's just, it's just so cool, though, man, again, because, I say it a lot, though, that I owe this game of baseball so much. It gave me purpose to my life when I was younger. And obviously, I played the game for a long time. I had my one scholarship offer to Creighton University in high school. I had a couple scouts looking at me from the Reds and the Brewers, and mainly the White Sox were the most intrigued ball club. And just again, though, John, just being able to be a part of that experience, though, I actually told DJ Shauna Nichols today. She actually wrote to me, saying it was like so cool seeing that. And I wrote to her, and I still, say this. I'm still mentally at this ball game right now. I'm not here in studio doing this podcast. I'm still there, working with Padre, with Padre Game Ops crew, and watching this game unfold, and just soaking it all in. As I told Shauna during the NBA Finals, to soak this all in, because you never know when it may happen again. And John, that was me, though. I was just like absorbing it, taking all the pictures I could, getting all the video I could. I shared that actually today on the gram. But John, I think, though, man, maybe as an outsider looking in, though, and seeing this kind of come to fruition, though, John, I mean, it's got to be cool, though, just seeing, anyone out there, whether they're a good friend of yours or just seeing someone break into to the industry, getting a chance like this, really a chance of a lifetime to do this sort of ordeal.
I think so many times when we look at people or we go to games, that would be so cool, but it's impossible. We don't really look, I guess, what it takes. And as you know, and other people that are probably going to go in the industry, is that it makes you want to pull your hair out and celebrate at the same time. And to be able to go to your childhood ballpark or stadium is something that, frankly, I can't imagine what that is like. And for other people out there, I really hope that that inspires people.
James, I think though, and again, you've kind of been around San Diego in your life. And again, I got a chance to do this as a 10-year-old on my birthday. I actually remembered it well. I introduced John Burroughs, who was a Padre third baseman way back like 02, 03. And it was at Qualcomm Stadium. And, that's where all of my Padre memories are. Hence why I have my 98 era Padre Steve Finley jersey on tonight, because that was where my love for the game really began, though, was at Qualcomm, and that 98 Padre ball club. I owe so much to for making me a fan of this game and, of course, of the organization. But being able, though, to go from Qualcomm to Petco, but actually do the full game, not just announce one hitter, then leave and go back to my seats, but, actually sit there, from 6:30 in the evening and call this game until 10 o'clock at night and watch these kids play. I think more rewarding for me, though, and I'm sure that he's probably listening out in the living room, is the fact I got to announce my dad as a coach at Petco just made it, I think, that much more like special again. Cause my dad's the reason why I'm even so big of a sports fan. He started me out with, me and my brother out when we were both 5 years old back in, when my brother was 5 in 91 in 90. And then when I came around in 94, and then 98, 99, I kind of got started myself, though. And again, he's been coaching ball for over 30 plus years now. And that was probably the most forget like the game, but being able to introduce my dad as a coach, though, for what is for me the biggest stage I've been on. I mean, believe me, Pechanga Arena has given me a lot of, great, big stage moments again. Literally, I got a chance to introduce Trevor Hoffman, one of my all-time favorite players, as the newest member of the Baseball Hall of Fame the day before the Padres had opening day when he was inducted. And, being able to do that and obviously meeting Trevor so many times. But I think, though, James, I know you were trying to come to the game and stuff like that. But I think, though, James, I think you knew, though, man, that, seeing all the content coming out, like, you kind of wish that you were there. But I think, though, still, though, it's cool, I think, for you, seeing this, though, as someone who, again, is close here to San Diego, California.
Yes, congratulations to you. It only gets better from here. The opportunities will definitely come, and I know you'll take them and take it in stride, and you'll do well. You're the consummate professional, always does well. And it's funny, every game that I go to, I always look up in the press box, and I always see myself there and all that. And one day I want to go to a game and see you up there. And I came around Petco Park when Frank Anthony was doing the PA.
Love Frank.
And his voice I just remember and I loved when he announced the games there for the Padres. So I'm very happy for you. I'm very proud of you, of course. And it doesn't stop here for you. And I'm just happy you got to definitely live out a dream, per se. I'm very happy for you on that. And I can't wait to see what the future entails, honestly, for you.
Brandon, I know you wanted tickets, man, but again, you're living out in wonderful MSP of Minnesota, so that would have been, quite a haul to come out here for just one high school game because I was working at Petco. But again, Brandon, seeing it, though, I think is great, though. And again, I had to really, pinch myself, like, worry about the game. This is cool and all and stuff. But, again, there's just so much that, I owe the Padres as a lifelong San Diegan, a baseball fan, a baseball junkie, a baseball broadcaster and announcer, and being able to have this chance from the Madison High School baseball team to ask me to do the game for them at Petco, and being able to be a part of this experience, though, again, like I said, I'm still kind of mentally, down on Park Boulevard right now on the corner of Tony and Trevor doing this game right now still. I think, though, Brandon, seeing it, man, I think, obviously for you, obviously cool to see, though, I'm sure.
Oh, no props to you. I mean, you got to live your dream out to start. I mean, to call a game, yeah, it wasn't Major League, but you're in the press box where the major leaguers are. So props to you. I got a question, though. I mean, granted, yes, if I was close, I would have definitely made the trip down there, to support
Totally.
you. But I got two questions. One, was it harder to fight back the tears introducing your dad, or was it harder just overall being in the same press box or in the major league press box like that? What was harder for you to hold back your emotion?
I agree about the first part, Brandon, for sure. And then again, I used to, literally, and many of my teammates can tell you this, when we were playing travel together, is I had a tape recorder back when tape recorders were still a thing, way back when. And I would carry this damn thing around like it was a Walkman or a phone or whatever. And I actually used to interview my dad, after games, at restaurants we'd go to, and I would be doing fictional radio post-game shows. And it really wasn't too hard. It was still cool, though. And it's always fun because my mom can go and brag to all of, her friends, well, hey, my husband's coaching, and, oh, that's my son up in the press box. But, more so it was about being in that major league press box. And yeah, I couldn't, and Don Orsillo and Mark Grant weren't there, and Jesse Agler and Tony Gwynn Jr. weren't there, and the Padre, the full Padre production staff wasn't there. But it's still just cool, though. And again, with me, hearing Bruce Binkowski for so long here, and as James said, with Frank doing Petco when Petco first opened, and then Alex Miniak and Bob Chandler, who doing it too. Just kind of like for one day being a part of like that elusive group of people who have done games at Petco Park, which includes one of my great colleagues and, great friends, Chris Davis, who did baseball and even did some basketball games there during the Bill Walton Basketball Festival several years ago, is just being a part of that very, very exclusive, like players only club. I think about that a lot, though, Brandon, with the Sockers. This is a club who's been around for 40 plus years. They won 15 championships. And I think about John DeMai, who was the Padre PA announcer from the inception of the organization back in the 60s. He was there when Tony Gwynn first debuted. You think of Bruce Binkowski. You think of Jim Stone, legendary TV commentator here on Channel 7 for our NBC station. And then you think about Brian Main, who actually, is a, another loyal friend of mine who worked for San Diego State for so long. He did the Holiday Bowl for like 30 years. And there's like all the greats of the city who have done PA work here for all the organizations here. And just being a part of that in a very teeny tiny small role is what makes it, so fulfilling. But I just wanted to kind of, again, share my experience, though, with you guys from last night. Some quick thoughts real quick before we get to our baseball coverage. A formal welcome to my good man, or our good man, Ishmael Lancaster, saying good evening. And then he also says, wow, Callan, great stuff. Congrats, future Padre PA man. We'll see. Alex Miniak has it on lockdown for the time being. And by the way, he's a phenomenal announcer. He's so good, folks. He's the PA guy in MLB The Show. So if you have the game.
Oh, is it really?
You'll be hearing him in the background because the whole game was shot here at Sony Studios in San Diego. And a couple of thoughts from our good man, Isaiah Leung, writing from the MI6 page. He writes, congrats, tuning in here from work at the San Jose airport. And I agree, though, guys, and I think we all agree. Can't believe opening day is just 2 days away. So surreal to not even think we'd have a season.
Yep, and then 2 days later, the Oakland A's will be eliminated from the playoffs.
And, John, I guess we'll start there more. So it's the fact that we're even here, 2 days away now from opening day. And, again, we've talked a lot about, the lockout and what happened for 99 days and stuff like that. But, again, John, this is your first true year trying to become a baseball fan. And, again, you've already jumped on the Padre wagon. Invites are welcome for you, not for our friends from MI6, sadly. But, again, though, John, I think we touched base on this, though, on Sports Zone last week, that this could be a thing, though, that maybe – makes people like yourself detract away from the game and go to football or basketball, hockey, soccer, where there's not been a lot of labor strife in their sports in recent years, though. But yet, though, John, baseball has these periods, though, of the 70s, part of the 80s, 1994, now 2022, 2021, 2022, 2020, until 2022, that they've had this repeated stop and go mentality. I think, though, John, in your mind, though, are you very surprised, though, man, as a first-time baseball fan, to even see this league, though, being this close to finally getting started after so much turmoil and nonsense over the past offseason?
I think regardless, football, like for baseball, for your account, football always have a number one heart, though. But it's about time. I think I said this before. I think the labor strikes ended, or the conversations got better. Is that 3 or 4.5 years from now, we're going to go through the same issue. Oh, a new CBA. Is there going to be a delayed season? Is there going to be more drama, be more money? A team moving to Vegas that shouldn't have been in Oakland. I mean, it's just, I just don't know how, I'm very excited right now. I'm glad there's finally some flipping baseball, but thinking as a sports fan long term, what's going to happen 4 to 5 seasons from now? I act like it's the same thing all over again, because even though I'm trying to be a fan of baseball, Manfred is still the commissioner of Major League Baseball. And as long as he is, I just don't see how ever again we're just magically not going to have any labor issues at all. But thank gosh there's finally a season.
James, you, me, and Brandon, I think that we all agree that the three of us, and I will throw John in there too, is that we all live and die with baseball. Again, like I said, though, in my opening, rant/statement about, me working this game at Petco on Monday, is that, this is the game that I live and die with, along with hockey, but baseball always takes priority, for me when it comes to fandom away from, being behind the mic, though. And I think, though, James, again, that, I think that you probably may know 94 better than me, maybe not, though, but this has been probably the most torturous last 2 to 3 year window I've seen in my time as a baseball fan, because I know a bit about 94. It happened, I think 3 months after I was born. And I know about Tony Gwynn being so close, though, but that, again, it really just, it got very ugly. They went to mediation. That didn't work. Fans didn't come back for, at least, the next 3 to 4 years because of the labor strife from that 94 season. And that damage was, I think, done. Probably not to the extent, though, of 2020 through 2022, but still pretty damn close, though. So, James, your overall, thoughts about, or, maybe about the fact that we are this close now to baseball actually happening for real and not, false hope now for another season coming up.
Yeah, I definitely, was 4 or 5 years old in 1994, and I knew what the teams were and all that. I could put them in divisions and whatnot, but I don't remember watching the games as much, but I just knew it broke a lot of people's hearts, especially in Montreal, San Diego with Tony Gwynn, his pursuit for 400 batting average, just the pennant races, and the season abruptly ending in the middle of it. I think that turned a lot of people away, like you mentioned. How it relates now to this season coming up and the doubt that I tremendously had. I honestly thought there wasn't going to be a season because of the buildup for 3 or 4 years of just the fighting between the two sides, the arrogance of both sides, the commissioner's awful way to handle the Astros scandal, the Red Sox Apple Watch scandal, and then the Yankees thing that just came up. I would have never thought we would have had a season, honestly, and it just came so rapid out of nowhere. It was a week after both sides couldn't get together and get something done after meeting for 16 hours straight, and all of a sudden a week later, they're going to meet up again. And I think they're just desperate to make some type of money back from the pandemic, losing money from that, and how there can be fans. So I'm definitely grateful that the game is back, and I know that cloud, like John mentioned, is hanging in 3 years when a new CBA will come up and we'll have to go through this all again. And I just know the struggle of it now in 94 and 1981, where they had to play basically two half seasons to determine pennant winners. So like I said, I'm very happy that there's a season. I had tremendous doubt that there was going to be, and I'm just happy to go on Thursday on opening day. A lot of people, I think, thought we would never be there, and I'm just happy that they're playing ball.
Brandon, I think I agree with James that we're just excited now that they're just playing games now. I know that we had, spring training kind of get reshuffled a little bit here. I think teams played, way fewer games than they usually do for the Grapefruit or the Cactus League. But I think, though, I think helps renew optimism, I think, that now we have baseball. We're not going to have, these labor issues for the next 5 years, hopefully, at least. But I think, Brandon, maybe more so your thoughts in a nutshell about the offseason. Again, 99 days of, utter nonsense for baseball. Coming on the heels, though, as well, the man of the, issues we saw, though, in 2020 with the COVID 60-game season, though, too.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew the lockout was happening. They didn't get the agreement done by the 2nd of December. I know we had a few counterparts that thought it was going to get done way sooner than it did. Yeah, the 99 days going out. I mean, it was getting stressful. I started panicking once, the initial spring training was supposed to start, but they got their act together, got a deal done. We'll see what the spring training does. I think a lot of teams are going to take the first few weeks, probably month, to fine tune their pitching staff, and we're probably going to see a lot of relievers, a lot of 5 inning guys, just to get them going. But I'm glad we did not have a 94 strike. Just looking at some of the stats there, looking like we're on our way to a Montreal, New York World Series. They had the best record. Tony Gwynn, I think James brought up, trying to go for 400. But let's go. Let's is it February or April 7th already? So we can talk about some baseball.
Oh, we're talking plenty of it here on Between the Bases. Yeah. And with that, guys, into some of our predictions for the upcoming season, guys. We'll throw some slides up here and look over standings from last season. We'll start, though, guys, out east in the American League. Of course, Tampa Bay Rays, 100 wins last season. The Red Sox and Yanks took over those top 2 wildcard spots last season. Look at this, though, guys. 4 of the 5 teams last season finishing above 500 in all, and 4 of the 5 winning over 90 games last season. Sadly, though, Baltimore 52 and 110 last season. James, I'll start with you, though, buddy, because I think that the AL East this season may be the best division to watch in Major League Baseball this season, because what we had seen last year, again, you have 4 teams here winning 90-plus games or more, including the low-budget Rays who won the division title last season, Boston and New York finishing 2-3 but winning the wild card spots, and then, of course, the Blue Jays, who were this close to making the postseason last year, So, James, it's kind of hard, I think, for me to pick a division winner because, again, this could be where I think you get 3 teams maybe in. Division winner, 2 wild card teams maybe make it. But, James, who do you go with, though, for your pick, though, for the American League East crown in 2022 based on last season's performance and standings?
I think the Blue Jays break through. And I'm debating. It's between the Jays and Rays for first place, honestly. I think Boston without Chris Sale, that's going to be an issue. Their whole pitching staff. Although they do have a good one, but the names just really aren't known. And the Yankees, pretty much the same thing. They do have a high-powered offense, but pitching is a thing. Orioles, we know they're not going to be there. Actually, yeah, give me the Blue Jays, I think, for first place, and then the Rays for the wild card. I think they'll finish probably 1 or 2 games behind the Rays. And then in third, I'd probably go the Red Sox, and then fourth, New York, and then Baltimore, sadly, in last.
All right, so Big B, we got James going with the Blue Jays. And I think he's on to a very valid point, though, because this ball club, man, they're fun to watch, and they have gotten some really good talent. Bichette, Biggio, Vlad Jr., a really solid pitching staff now added on with Kevin Gausman coming over there from the Giants over the offseason. So James is going with the Blue Jays. I know it's probably hard, though, to not pick Boston or New York because I think, though, that they're going to be in the running all year for the entire season. Tampa could probably be there, too, again, because they just seem to do it the right way without having, like, that big-name star. You know, I mean, they have their stars, though, with Kiermaier. They re-signed Manuel Margot to a contract extension earlier on Tuesday. But, Brandon, James has the Blue Jays. How about you?
You know, on my show on deck earlier, I wrote down the Rays. And then as we're talking about it, I switched it to the Blue Jays. I think any 4 of those teams could win. Baltimore, I think, unanimously, if anybody picks them higher than 4, I think they need to be tested. But I'm going to go Blue Jays, Red Sox, Yankees, Rays. And I would not be shocked if it's Red Sox, Rays, Yankees. I mean, this division, like you said, is just going to be a battle. You know, this one and the NL West, I think, are going to be 2 of the most battled divisions that we can see anybody outside of the Blue Jays winning.
So, John, there's 2 votes now for the Blue Jays to win the AL East division. But again, as we see, though, man, 4 of the 5 teams, though, winning 90 or more games last season. Again, Tampa did this, though, basically, though, John, but again, just not that big name star and not a lot of cachet and Brinks trucks like most of these teams in this division, like, for example, the Yanks and Red Sox have at their disposal. But, John, floor is yours, man. Who do you have winning the American League East?
Baltimore, you shouldn't even try. You might as well just go home and go sit at the best rest and enjoy the rest of the season. But I'll have to, I think, agree with James here. Toronto was so close, and yet when the team was so close, they when you go into the offseason, you get better, you get hungry. Usually teams that are hungry get better, and they were so close. Usually come back next year, and they're the team to beat. I'm not saying they're going to be the best team in baseball. That's delusional. I need to be drug tested. But I think in terms of this American League East division, I wouldn't be surprised if Toronto gets a lot better this season.
You know, I have to make it a clean sweep and go with the Jays. I just love the makeup of the infield is solid. Again, Bichette, Biggio, Vlad Jr., if he's not playing first, he's DHing. But mainly, I think it just boils down to pitching. I love that Kevin Gausman is now there with that rotation. I think that they could still get better, though, in some areas. But I do think, though, that they can at least – they're going to be – you know, I know that, of course, again, that, you know, this is a division usually owned by the Yankees or the Red Sox. But now that you have Tampa Bay, though, guys, and Toronto kind of punching back against, you know, the big bad Sox and Yankees. And again, though, the younger teams are always the hungriest. And I think that the Blue Jays and Padres are kind of a yin and a yang, though. They're both similar. They're both young with some budding superstars on their rosters. So I like Toronto, but I think it's going to be like maybe a 1-game, 2-game, you know, ordeal that they're going to be very close. It may not be, you know, 9 games between the Jays and Rays, though, or between 4 and 1, though. But it's going to be very competitive, though, to see how, in fact, things go. Christy Wilson will ride with her Red Sox. Nothing wrong with that, though. She's got Boston, Tampa, the Yankees, the Jays, and then the Orioles. So based off last season, she's flip-flopping Boston and the Rays, though. I do think, though, guys, before we move on here, I would have said Boston, and I think James would agree, though, only if Chris Sale was healthy. And also, I don't think, though, that, and I think we even saw, though, too, though, fellas, that I think Xander Bogaerts and one other player did not want to talk about contract extensions during the season. So that could be a little bit of like a sidebar story to watch. But again, we're all going with the Jays. But again, Christie has Boston. But again, it would not surprise me, though, if two of these teams at least got in. If one team won the division, one team was a wild card in 2022. Moving to Big B's neck of the woods, guys, in the American League Central, based off last season, the White Sox winning the AL Central last season at 93 and 80 and 69, I should say. The now Cleveland Guardians finishing 82. The Detroit Tigers finishing the season 77 and 85. The Royals clocking at 4, and the Twins at 73 and 89. However, though, James, I really think that this division is going to shake out to be Chicago, Detroit, and Minnesota's division to lose, my man. We'll go to you first.
Definitely Chicago for the division. But I think it's going to be a real tight race between two teams in this division, Chicago and Minnesota. I think the White Sox just have more talent, more young talent than Minnesota, sadly. But I think the Twins, they vie for a playoff spot, but I don't think they get one. The Tigers, their pitching has to come through. They just made a trade for Austin Meadows yesterday.
Yes.
And I think that's going to be huge for their lineup is really good. You got young, and then you got veteran, and then you got Miguel Cabrera being the designated hitter, and their divisions, their lineup is really stacked there. So I'm not surprised if Detroit contends, even has first place a little bit there if the White Sox get off to a bad start. The Guardians, sadly, I see them trading Jose Ramirez at some point before the trade deadline. That's that one piece that they have that's valuable that they need to let go. And I don't see them, despite their great young starting pitching, which they still have more coming up. I don't think they'll contend there for a wild card. Definitely not for the division. Bobby Witt Jr. will make his opening day debut this season for the Royals. I think that's really all that you can really, look forward to with Kansas City. They do have some young pieces there. You still have Salvador Perez. It looks like he's not going to go anywhere, but I think they finish in last. So I see the White Sox only going to the playoffs here as the divisional winner in the AL Central.
I had to applaud Ishmael Lancaster, guys. He says, fellas, thank goodness Isaiah Leung is not on this program or network. We don't have to hear about his new man crush, Mickey Moniak, that he's going to win MVP or something like that this season. We all are in favor, Mr. Lancaster. Brandon, to you, man, this, of course, is your division, my man. I do see the Twins getting out of the cellar because they have made too many moves to not move the needle and getting out of the basement of the AL Central. Correa going there is a big shot on the arm, though, to that team, to that organization, and plugging up the shortstop role. I think that Rocco Baldelli is going to improve big time based on, kind of having, that one good year, bad year, and now a good year again here, hopefully for the Twins. So I doubt they're going to be in last place again. Again, they made too many good moves over this offseason and again, they were right there at the goal line on Story and on Correa. And of course, they got Correa now as their shortstop. So I really think, though, guys, that for me, it's going to be Chicago, Minnesota, Detroit. Not in that order, but those three teams are the teams that I think are locks to win the division title this season. But Brandon, over to you, man. Who you got?
Oh man, it's tough. I mean, you got to go with the White Sox. I mean, they just improved. Detroit, they're young, they're scrappy. They signed some decent players. Class act for Cabrera to give up first base to their young rookie stud. I can't think of his name right now. I thought that was pretty class act. Minnesota's the team they're my team, but I think the first month's going to tell a lot, especially with that pitching staff. They're young. They're starting to rookie out opening day. First time that the Twins have done it since '64, I believe they said. The bats, barring any big injuries, I think the bats are going to be hot all season long. I definitely see an MVP candidate in Buxton if he stays healthy. Possibly in the top 5, if not win. If the Twins go into the playoffs, Buxton will be MVP. But outside of that, uh, Cleveland will probably finish 4th. Royals probably 5th. Vice versa. But Colin, I'm with you. I think the White Sox, Detroit, Minnesota. I think that's how it's going to finish. Barring Minnesota's pitching. If Minnesota's pitching can come around, then I think they got the division locked.
John, again, you have a division here, man, where there's 3 teams who have gotten substantially better, if not, improved on what they were doing last season. Again, the White Sox were a pretty big juggernaut last season. The Tigers getting Javier Baez over the offseason. The Twins getting Carlos Correa. That, again, this could be a division like the AL East who has 3 teams who maybe could be in line for the division title, maybe for a wild card berth in the postseason. So, John, who are you going to roll with this year in the American League Central?
I wouldn't be shocked if somehow Minnesota somehow got in or the last second. It may be like the wild card or that last spot because, like I say, making moves sometimes not all at once in free agency. You're going to make all those money moves, get all the big guys. Yes, you got Correa from the Astros, and you got who they got in free agency. But to be honest, since I don't know much about baseball, I'm going to go shoot in the dark and. I say Chicago, but I got a question mark on that because, like I say, due to their record, it's not like it was a team that was consistent throughout the season. But I'll say Chicago for now, but that's a big question mark.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a question mark more so in regards to, with the White Sox. I mean, I know that, of course, that maybe it's about health with Abreu, maybe it's health with Luis Robert. I know he got hurt in spring training last year and ripped his pectoral muscle going to rob a homer in a spring training game last season. But again, I think we all clean sweep. I'm going to go with the White Sox as well. But again, it's going to be a very close race all season, I think. I mean, this could be one where all 3 teams, share first place, maybe for a good chunk of the year, or they flip-flop every so often between the Sox, the Tigers, and the Twins, though. Cleveland, they're probably going to deal Ramirez sometime soon. There was some reports that I saw on Tuesday that maybe the Padres were involved in a potential trade with Cleveland for Ramirez to maybe play the outfield. I do like Bobby Witt Jr., though, down there with the Royals. I like Whit Merrifield. There's still a couple, huge pieces away. I do think that Mike Matheny's the right guy, though, to lead that team down there right now in KC. But we will go with the White Sox in the American League Central. Out, fellas, to the American League West, which has been owned by the Houston Astros. But, guys, Sarge's Seattle Mariners almost finally ended that lengthy playoff drought last season, but missed it because a couple of games did not go their way the final day of the regular season. Houston, guys, winning it last year, 95 wins. Seattle, 90 wins. Oakland at 86. The Angels at 77. And the Rangers finishing at 60 and 102. However, though, guys, and James, I'll start with you. Of course, this is your division, my man. I can see the Rangers vaulting out of the basement this season. Maybe it'll be Oakland down there this year again with that huge fire sale again, with the A's dealing away Manaea and Olsen, or Olsen maybe, being dealt to the Braves, and Matt Chapman is now in Toronto, and Chris Bassett's now with the Mets. And again, Manaea is now a Padre, and that there may be more moves coming for this A's ball club. So maybe it's still Houston, but I think that Seattle has a legitimate chance to get in the postseason. The Angels, if they're healthy, can perhaps make a run. The Rangers and their, spending spree with Seager and Simeon and John Gray being there in Arlington. So certainly, James, this could be another fun division to watch, but I still have to think, though, this is Houston's division until somebody knocks them off the top of the mountain. Over to you.
On that, with Houston, they're getting Justin Verlander back, and they still have Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez, Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve. They're in the lineup. You put the young Michael Brantley and young guys in there as well. Losing Carlos Correa definitely will hurt, but I think, not so much where they lose the division. So I say definitely they're in first. The Angels hopefully will get a wild card spot, but it all depends on their health. For the last 2 years or even more, Mike Trout has been out. Anthony Rendon has been out. the pitching has been awful. But this offseason, as short as it was, but at first in the offseason, they went out, got Noah Syndergaard, and it seems like he hasn't pitched in 2 years, but he's looked really good in spring training. They also added some key starters as well, Lorenzen as well, and then signing back Russell Iglesias as the closer was the first priority move. Getting Archie Bradley in there as well to be a setup guy, that'll definitely help the Angels. Hopefully as a wild card, so in second place. Maybe won't reach the ALCS, but we'll see. Seattle, they're so young and so good, and they made trades from the Reds, getting Jesse Winkler and Eugenio Suarez. So that boosts their lineup even more, and to the point where if their pitching is really good, their bullpen is pretty solid. They could take second place. So I'm kind of, iffy about that. But I think the Angels will take it just if they're healthy. If not, Seattle takes second. I see Texas in fourth. I think they're making strides. They drove the Brinks truck and they went out and got a infield of riches, basically, with up the middle with Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. They also have Ardis Guerrero out in center field, and to me, he's like a Yasiel Puig, but without the stupidity, without the constant act of stupidity that Puig would do. And he's very consistent, and he's so young. He's just coming up, and he's doing so well. So I think the Texas Rangers make a stride, but I think they're still young pitching wise. They do have some key veterans on the pitching staff, but they're still young there. They made some trades for Gallo last year to New York and got some young pitching back. So their future is definitely bright. The opposite of that is the Oakland A's. And they've had a fire sale, of course, since the league came back. And yeah, it looks like they're on their way out. They pretty much have one step out of Oakland, honestly, to Vegas. And this is the way that they're going. And sadly, it's sad for all those fans out in right field where they love the team no matter what, and they keep coming back. And I feel so sorry for those people. So I think Oakland will be in last place, sadly, but Houston gets first. I'm iffy about the Angels getting a wild card spot in second. Again, it comes down to their health. And then Seattle in third there, and then Texas in fourth, Oakland in last.
So, Brandon, once more, we have James going with Houston. I think rightfully so. Again, this has been a ball club who's been kind of like the measuring stick. Despite the tomfoolery of 2017, this has been the ball club who has been running the roost in this division since 2016, 2017, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. They have been the cream of the crop of the American League West. But again, the Mariners have made some great strides, though. Again, that trade that James said, though, with Cincinnati for Jesse Winker and for Eugenio Suarez was a huge ordeal for them. I know I would have loved to have seen Chris Bryant maybe go to Seattle and play third for the for Seattle, because again that to me just kind of felt like it was like a perfect marriage for me. But again, Seattle is close. Oakland is probably taking major steps back on the board, though, again with the big fire sale, probably more coming, who really knows. The Angels, I want them in the playoffs, but will they be healthy? I don't know. I do think Texas takes a big step forward because, again, you roll the dice. Again, you get Corey Seager on a 10-year deal. You get Marcus Semien. You get John Gray into the fold in Arlington, again, trying to improve that record. I mean, it may not work year one, though, but certainly can put that ball club, I think, on a better stepping stone for the future. But, Brandon, who do you have winning the American League West this season, my man?
Well, I think I might be shocking you guys because I got Texas winning this thing. I think they built it like the old school style baseball teams. They went out and they traded for Mitch Gardner from Minnesota. They do have a pretty decent pitching staff, and then they went out and they signed the middle infield that we're going to see for at least 7 years. And like James said, you got that young stud out in center field. So they built it right up the middle. So if the Rangers put it all together, barring big injuries, I see them taking it over. going from last to first. I see Seattle hanging around number 2. Astros, I can see that. I can see this being a 3-team race. But I think Houston's going to finish third. Angels, I really hope for Angel fans, James, Trout stays healthy, Otani stays healthy, everybody stays healthy. I'd like to see the Angels do something. And then Oakland, the only thing I'm going to watch with Oakland is one of our co-hosts, Isaiah, friend of ours, just see his rants when they lose 5 in a row, and then when they win 2 in a row, on how good this team is going to be, and it's going to be a playoff team. So Oakland will be finishing last.
So again, John, this division, man, has been a very, more so owned by the Astros over the past, 5 to 6, 7 years. Again, despite tomfoolery in 2017, they've constantly gotten to the American League Championship Series or gotten to the World Series, though. I think though, John, I think you would agree, though, it's hard sometimes to pick against that favorite who's always on top of the food chain. But again, the Mariners are close. The Angels could be close. The Rangers may be close. Oakland is going to be probably at the bottom of everyone's picks, though. But, John, who, in your mind, wins the American League West this season? John, you're on mute. Thank
Chris and James, I want to apologize because for the Angels and the Texas Rangers are giving y'all false hope. Like, they deserve to win. I believe they deserve to succeed. Like, it's been, since the early 2000s, and they deserve to get something in there. But for Oakland, you traded Sean Manair, Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, Chris Bassett, Mark Canaya, Starlin Marte, Josh Harrison, Sergio Romo, and some guy named whatever his name is. And they traded.
We'll just call him Isaiah.
And they traded Stomper. So I just think with a team that obviously, despite what some people are thinking, is that this team obviously is the same thing over and over and over and over. They're never going to win because you can't in any sport keep guys on these rookie contracts. They do really well, and then you trade them. Because literally, this guy is worth, the owner's worth however many millions or billions of dollars. And yet you spent, somebody said this, if you bought MLB The Show 22, you spent more money this offseason than the Oakland A's did. That, to me, is a testament, and I saw this on this, no joke, is a testament to why this organization, I believe, deserves to lose, and not just as a certain person is a fan of it. When you're in an organization that literally doesn't care about anything at all. So they're going to get worse because they literally traded everybody, even Stomper. Angels, I do hope they do get some success because it's been a long time coming. But, I mean, like you say, with those injuries, who knows? Seattle, Sarge, I have a number of a therapist if you want to contact them because what may happen in Seattle, just hopefully they don't decide not to go for it or wait, that's football. But Houston, though, I just think – just like in certain sports, when how good a team is despite losing one player, I think could either expose the team or show what they're really about. But it's like certain teams like the Rams or other teams that won the Super Bowl. Oh, you lost this key player. They're going to be fine. I think Houston wins the division. Seattle, it's Seattle. I don't know what's really going on there. Oakland's going to be not just the worst team in this division, but literally the worst team in baseball. When you literally trade the farm, I don't know how they're going to win more than 10 to 15, 20 games. It's just I don't see who they're going to get besides the cashier at Costco. Rangers and probably last place, but I think there's a chance. Hopefully they can stay healthy. The Angels get into somewhere in third place.
Yeah, I still have Houston on top. I do think, though, that Seattle, they're making the postseason. I really, truly think so. The Rangers could be my sleeper in this division because, again, you rolled out the red carpet. Again, Seager, Simeon, John Gray, notably your big three. You have Adolis Garcia out there in center field, for your ball club this season. So certainly it may not be, playoffs already, but it may be like maybe you win 20 more games or you win 30 more games maybe. Maybe you get to 90 wins or 85 wins and you're competitive at least for the season. But I still have to go with Houston winning the American League West Division title this season. Over now, guys, to the National League.
Callan, before you move on,
yes,
does 90 wins get you into the playoffs, or do you think it's going to be like 93, 94, 95?
You know what? It may be like you have to win, I'd say maybe 93, maybe 94, honestly. Especially now if there's 3 wild cards, I'd have to say it'd be 94 wins. You win 90, I think you have a chance if you win 90. You win at least 90 or 90 plus, I think you're sitting pretty, honestly.
Okay. I think so too.
I think so, yeah. Because especially now that you have that 3rd wild card team in there now. So now you have 6 teams now in the postseason. That I think 90 wins at least gets 89, maybe even could get you in based on maybe tiebreakers or what have you. Because again, as a reminder,
I think we're going to see north of 90. I think.
Easily 90. Because as a reminder, there are going to be
at least in the American League. I mean, National League could be a little bit different.
Yeah, because also as a reminder, though, folks, there is no Game 163 anymore. That is now gone goodbye now because of the new playoff format, per reports I read over the offseason.
With that, though, guys, don't have a chance to get in. Okay.
Everyone's got a chance now. Everyone has a chance. Anything to make the last couple of weeks of the season more competitive, honestly.
I think so.
Or like more enticing to watch on TV. With that, guys, over to the National League East, where the defending world champion Braves, with their 88 wins, won the division title and the world championship over Houston last season. Philadelphia 82-80. The Mets were great. Then they had all the off-field antics and the booing of the fan base, finishing 77-85. The Marlins and, of course, the Nationals, who have gotten better over the offseason with them getting Nelson Cruz over this offseason. James, we'll start with you again, though, man. This is another division I feel like it's just hard not to pick the Braves because historically, the National League East historically runs through the Peachtree State down there and runs through ATL. So I think a lot of people have Atlanta. I know that they lost Freddie Freeman over the offseason, but that's still a very young, talented core and good ball club down there. I know that the Phillies have gotten better and the Mets have gotten better. The Marlins, maybe. The Nationals have gotten a bit better, though. I just find it very hard to pick anybody but the Braves in this division. But James and Braves apparently rhymes. James, over to you. Who do you have winning the National League East?
Never really thought about that. Yeah, I still have the Braves. I don't think they break stride. I think they only get a little better than what they did last year. Winning it all finally after 1995 was the last time, winning all those divisions and getting to the World Series a couple of times. It was great to see them win, no doubt. Losing Freddie Freeman, that was awkward. I thought they were going to sign him back. I thought he was going to get his number. He still can get his number retired there. But, no, I thought he was going to be a Brave for life. But obviously they didn't want that extra year. They didn't want that money. But he decided to go west. But I still think the Braves still win the division. I really want to believe that one of the wild cards is either the Mets or the Phillies, but it comes down to health and it comes down to good play, honestly, between the Phillies and Mets for second place. Both historically, though, have fallen after a good start, and the dog days of August comes and September, and they just peter out. But the Mets, though, it seems like they traded from the A's a lot. They got a lot of A's players.
Canna, Marte, Bassett.
Yeah, Oakland East pretty much. The Phillies, though, they went out. Castellanos, they have 2 third basemen basically. They're going to try it out. They still have Harper. Still got a pretty good pitching staff. The bullpen is still a concern for the Mets. Scherzer, of course, will be out. I think the first.
DeGrom's out now again.
Yeah. So I think that'll hinder the Mets a little bit. They still have a serviceable starting rotation, though, without those two, honestly. But I think it goes Braves, Mets, Phillies, Nationals, Marlins. I want to say the Mets get a wild card spot. I think the Phillies kind of peter out, and they can't get that. They won't get a wild card spot there. They'll be in third. Washington, they have Juan Soto. There's always talk of a trade. I think they can offer him a lot of money to stay in 2025. I don't think he will. That's for then. This is now. But and then Miami, it's funny how Derek Jeter left and the way that he did, where he was thinking, okay, there's going to be more money to spend so he could build the team. And that money wasn't there. He decided to quit, and just shows the stupidity of the Marlins the last, decade plus, since '03, and since the two fire sales they've had since the World Series. Uh, this continues where they don't spend money, nobody goes to their games, and it's just awful. They got a stadium that nobody voted for, nobody really wanted, honestly. But anyway, that's at the bottom of the division. I think the Braves win the NL East.
Brandon, I agree though about the whole thing with the Marlins. It's just so weird though, again, that Jeter departs and all of a sudden they start making moves like Jacob Stallings is acquired by the Pirates. Or from the Pirates to come to the Marlins. They re-signed Sandy Alcantara and stuff like that, or what have you. And that, this is all after Derek Jeter leaves and, leaves the organization. But again, though, it's just so hard, I think, to pick against the Braves, though, in this division. Because again, historically, this is a division that has been running through Atlanta, since the Braves made the jump there from the NL West way back in the day. So I think, the Braves obviously have some holes, or they did have some holes, with them losing Freddie Freeman. Phillies have gotten better, but again, pitching is going to be their big kryptonite, especially the bullpen help. Can the Mets keep things on track and not get derailed by something going on behind the scenes with Steve Cohen, the owner, or with other things going on there? Can Washington maybe get, rebound after, that World Series hangover from 2019? But Brandon, who do you have winning the division title for the National League East division in 2022?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with the Braves. I mean, they're kind of reminding me of the '90s, where the Braves are gonna. I mean, they're not probably gonna have that talented of a rotation, because I don't think you can top Maddox, Smoltz, and Glavine. But they got it built around. I think it would have been nice to see Freeman go back, but they had some differences, and he went home, and they brought in a hometown kid. So I say the Braves will win it. The Mets are another team like the Twins. I think the first month is going to be crucial for them if they can not dig themselves into a big hole with their injuries in the staff, and they can hang around. I can see them pushing for a playoff spot, like James said. So I got them finishing 2. I got Philly finishing 3, and then I got the National Marlins pretty much back and forth in the bottom 3-4. I'll go Nationals and then the Marlins. Or 4-5.
John, I totally agree, though, in regards to the fact that the Marlins are a mess right now. But I do, in fact, agree, though, with James's logic, though, that, here again, Derek Jeter departs and they start spending money out of nowhere. It's like hidden underneath the mattress or something like that. But again, though, John, it's just very hard, I think, for people, especially for us three here, to not pick the Braves, because, again, this has been a division that they have simply dominated for a long time. Again, they had a 16-year run of winning this division title back in the 90s, when they were basically, the Dallas Cowboys of the 90s. They were winning the division title every single season back then. So, John, who's your money on for the NL East title this year in 2022?
I don't know what it is about Washington teams that is so uninteresting, so boring. They don't set any expectations because the fans have low expectations. Washington, I don't see how they're going to get 65 steady wins. So it's a Washington team, just like Washington football, just like the Washington Wizards. They're all both 3 disaster teams. Miami here, yeah, it's kind of weird. It's almost like it was almost in the making. I don't think it just suddenly happens. Oh, now you're going to start spending money. Like, I think this probably developed over time. There may be some issues we don't know about behind the scenes. Maybe management didn't agree with what he did. Who knows? But I'm going to have to pick the Braves here. When you're a good young team, not just that, a good young core and a good young team that just won the championship, I mean, you have nothing but success. Because a lot of times you see teams, you break the bank, you're trying to get all these guys, you're trying to win right now, like the Rams or maybe say a couple other teams in sports, then you're kind of screwed. You had this short window here. Well, Atlanta just won the championship. They got a young core. Their championship, but I think it's going to continue to grow just a little bit here. But Adam, you might as well start the party here, pop the champagne bottle, because Atlanta just give them the division crown already.
Yeah, I'm going with Atlanta again because I just love the makeup of this team. I know Acuna Jr. is going to be out for a bit because of his ACL recovery time right now, but I still love Atlanta. I want to really, go with the Phillies eventually, but they always seem guys to break down like the Mets have. I think that the Phillies and Mets are a yin and yang as well, that they both have good starts though to the season, but then July rolls around, August rolls around, September rolls around again. Let's not forget though, guys, that the Mets gagged away a huge lead, I think in 2008, I want to say, and the Phillies caught them, leapfrogged them for the division title and won the World Series that season. But again, the Phillies, though, their main issue is pitching. 2007 is when that happened. I should say 2007 that happened. But that more so that Phillies that the Phil's issue again is pitching, and it's more about the bullpen for me because I don't know, guys, if I've seen a team like the Phillies who have had so many closers come through. It's been a revolving door back there, and they cannot find a way to close out a ball game, especially back in 2020. I think Isaiah had a stat though that the Phillies could have won like 10 or 15 more games if they would have just held the lead, but they couldn't hold the lead though in 2020, even last season. I know, of course, that Harper had an MVP season on a ball club who didn't make the playoffs either. Like, again, the case was, Harper, Tatis Jr. for MVP last season. But again, 82 and 80 finished last season. I cannot, regardless, trust the Mets. I would love to, but again, they're too much of a Jerry Seinfeld soap opera, fellas, and sitcom every season. Again, we had the whole issue, though, last season. To my point, though, we had a whole issue last year again of, players doing this to the fan base is their way to boo the fan base last season. I had a whole 30-minute rant on the Sports Lounge on MI6 about, hey, this is something that you don't do as a player. Block it out. I know it's tough to do. And I know you're in New York, though, but you can't be doing that sort of stuff, though. And I can't trust the Mets, Marlins, probably another, long year there. And maybe the Nats improve a bit, but I don't think Nelson Cruz moves the needle that much to improve upon a 65-win season. So all in favor for the Atlanta Braves.
Oh, man, I forgot he went to the Nationals.
Another NL East division crown. Moving gears, guys, to what could be another fun division, the National League Central this season. Again, the Milwaukee Brewers on top, 95 wins with the Brew Crew last season. The Cardinals getting in with a wild card berth last season. The Reds tailed off towards the very end last season. The Cubs, again, draping off big time last season, dealing away Chris Bryant and also Anthony Rizzo as well, but also the Pirates again as well, losing 101 games last season. James, this could be another division where it could be the top two teams in my mind are the two teams, though the Cubs could be a wild card because of Seiya Suzuki, the new Japanese sensation now playing with the Cubs on a long-term deal. James, who do you got winning the NL Central this season?
Yeah, the getting Suzuki, the Cubs, it kind of reminded me of when Kosuke Fumadoke came over from Japan back in 2008, I want to say, and it didn't last so long, so I'm hoping Suzuki, who loves Mike Trout, does well. They got Stroman, and that was kind of a surprise. I thought he was going to stay with his hometown Mets, but he saw the green, and it wasn't Ivy. It was money at Wrigley. So I don't see them, getting a wild card spot. Definitely not division. Reds have basically tanked. They've traded a lot of their pieces away.
And by the way, James, can I stop you for a second? Weren't the Reds one of the teams who I think voted to not expand the CBT tax or something along the lines of the money, and yet here they are now tanking the season already or something like that?
I think they were one of the four, yes. Yeah. And their moves just, came out of nowhere, didn't make sense, and they just don't want to contend pretty much. And those fans have really been suffering a while, It's been a while since they made the playoffs if you don't count 2020.
Right.
So it just – and then it gets worse in Pittsburgh. Whenever somebody makes an all-star team, they trade them away. Jacob Stallings, Adam Frazier. Yeah. It just continues for the Pirates. I know they have some young guys coming up there, but they're just bound to be traded. So, they'll be in last. The Reds, I think, will be in fourth. The Cubs will be in third. Comes down to a two-team race here. Milwaukee and the Cardinals. When you think of Milwaukee, you think of their ace starting pitching. A great bullpen still is there with one of the best closers in Josh Hader. They're their lineup is pretty decent there. If they score enough runs, I think they could win the Central. The Cardinals, getting Albert Pujols back, I think that would be a great story. Again, needing 21 home runs for 700. I think that'll be a big story everywhere. You still have Carpenter, you still have Goldschmidt, you still have Nolan Arenado at third, the best glove at third base in the league. I think, again, a two-team race, but I think Milwaukee still wins it. I think by, I'm going to say 3 games. I know they won it by 5 last year. I have to believe St. Louis gets a wildcard spot. I know there's 3 out there, and I gave one to the Mets or the Phillies, but I think I'm going to, I think I'll give it to the Cardinals and Mets there. And then give one to the NL West, I should say. But I think Milwaukee wins the Central by 3 games.
Quick stat clarification from our resident Phillies fan. I use air quotes from Isaiah. He actually said that the stat guys was actually that the Phillies had won 27 games that season. The Phillies bullpen blew 24 games in the 2020 season in the late innings of 7, 8, and 9. So 24 losses, guys, with the lead in the last 3 frames of the ball game. And my good man, Derek Nicoli, writes in, MLB, play ball, Viva, baseball, Latino. Let's go. Baseball finally back here in a 48 hours. So, Brandon, this is also in your neck of the woods, but not involving your Twins, though, but certainly in your area. I do believe, though, Brandon, that I think we all agree that this is a 2-team race right now. Redbirds and Brewers. The Cubs again could be like a wild card with Suzuki kind of again starting this new era for the Cubs after that, World Series score of 2016. But Brandon, who wins the Central on the NL side for you?
I got the Brewers, but I think it's going to be close. I think James is right. I think it's going to be a 2 to 3 game race or lead, whoever wins. I don't see it going more than 5, but Pujols back in St. Louis. I think that's going to be a good farewell tour for him. Hopefully he gets 21. For some reason, I'm thinking he's going to have 20 going into the last month, and he's going to just struggle. But I hope he gets it. Don't get me wrong. I love Pujols.
Same.
Cubs number 3. I don't see them battling for a playoff spot. But again, it's Chicago. It's the Cubs. They could be 4th, and then all of a sudden they go on a tear. They're in 2nd. So I got the Cubs 3rd. I got the Pirates and the Reds battling for the last 2 spots. I think, Pirates are kind of coming up. I don't think they did much fire sales this year, but the Reds sure has unloaded everybody. So I see the Pirates going 4, and I see Cincinnati going 5.
John, again, this might be the one division we have where it's a true 2-team race. There's no third team. Again, maybe it is the Cubs again with their offseason signing of Japanese sensation Seiya Suzuki, but I still believe it's Milwaukee, then St. Louis, and it's the field battling for the breadcrumbs 3, 4, and 5. So, John, who you got this year in the Central?
Just like another Milwaukee team won a division, I'm going to have the Milwaukee Brewers winning their National League Central this year. Chicago, I don't know if I get the Japanese sensation. I just think that, they may add another 5, 10, maybe 15 wins upon them, and maybe they can improve that next year in 2023. But I'm not sure if that's really enough to push them to better than what they were. But Pittsburgh Pirates, Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh my gosh, both teams are just a flat-out disaster. Cincinnati, no. I would have to say, maybe, but I would say there's Milwaukee, but it's going to be close between Milwaukee and St. Louis.
Yeah, definitely. I have Milwaukee winning this as well, but by a very small margin again, and maybe 4 games, 5 games, 3 games maybe. But certainly Milwaukee's got the aces, in Craig Counsell's poker hand again with Burns and Woodruff as the main 2 guys, and Adrian Hauser as the 3rd guy. Josh Hader bringing the fuego from the bullpen. A good leadoff man in Lorenzo Cain playing center field. Just a lot of guys who go out there and grind are on this Brewers ball club. So I have Milwaukee again winning the NL Central. Of course, guys, last division to talk about, of course, is the National League West Division. The surprising San Francisco Giants, guys, bumped out the Dodgers last season, winning 107 games. However, the Dodgers got the revenge, though, in the playoffs, so knocking out San Fran in the NLDS. The Padres, of course, had that great start just about towards the end, though, finishing below 500. And then, of course, Colorado and the Arizona Diamondbacks finishing in fourth and fifth. James, this could be one, though, where this is a three-team race, and maybe, James, just maybe, this could be a division that sends three teams to the playoffs, maybe. But who you got, though, for the NL West this season?
Yeah, it's definitely could happen. I'll go with the bottom two first. I think the Diamondbacks would probably be in last place. There isn't much to say. They avoided a total rebuild by re-signing Kedel Marte to extension, but they could always trade him.
He's always hurt, sadly, though, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, that's the issue. And then for Colorado, it was a definite shocker that Chris Bryant was signed. It just seems like a move to put butts in seats, basically, at Coors Field, that beautiful ballpark, but there's not going to be really good baseball. So I think the Diamondbacks win more than 52 that they won last year, but it won't be It won't be really too many more. I just can't believe they lost 52 last year. Colorado in fourth. And then I'm really concerned about the Giants. Buster Posey retiring. I know they got Carlos Rendon, Carlos Martinez out of the bullpen, Matt Boyd. They also lost Kevin Gausman, of course, to Seattle, I believe. So
Toronto.
Toronto. That's right, Toronto. I think that's a big loss. It's a big game for Toronto, of course. But Carlos Rendon getting there, it was just an accomplishment last year out of nowhere that they were able to stay in contention and win the West. I mean, that was great. We all don't want to see the Dodgers winning the West. Although I think the Giants probably take a little step back this season. You don't have that leadership of Posey. There's early IL stints with Evan Longoria and Lamont Wade Jr., so that kind of takes the lineup a little backwards. I know they have Joey Bart, Yastrzemski. For the Padres, I think, or Giants in third, I think the Padres will get second place. I think the starting pitching finally gets it together. Getting Bob Melvin, I think, is the perfect skipper in the clubhouse. He has strong in-game management, and he can lead the personalities in that locker room. I think it all comes down to Fernando Tatis. And if he can stay off a motorcycle or anything that has wheels, I think if he's able to get back, I think he's missing, the first 2 or 3 months?
3 months.
Yeah, 3 months. So I'm hoping that he comes back and he's ready to go and he's just focused on baseball, honestly. I'm hoping that lineup does well, that they have that answer in left field, whoever it may be. I know Profar and a host of other guys are trying to get there, trade for Matt Beatty. But the closer situation, that's going to be interesting, how the bullpen does for San Diego. I'm anxious to see how that's going to go. But I think the overall favorite is the Dodgers, sadly, in the NL West. They just have an abundance of riches. They get Freddie Freeman at first base. They have a great rotation and young rotation for years to come. They have a great bullpen. They went out and traded for Craig Kimbrell. You still have Blake Triton. You have a great lineup. And sadly, I think the Dodgers win the West. And then the Padres, I think, will get a wild card spot. I believe the Giants are on the outside looking in for a wild card spot.
Brandon, it's so hard, I think, in this division to not pick the Los Angeles Dodgers. This has been a franchise since the new ownership has come in and has reinvigorated this organization since the McCourt family finally sold off the franchise, and that there's been, a commitment to get the Dodgers back where they once were. And that has been on top of the division in the playoffs every year, win 100-plus games, maybe get to the World Series every so often. And they had that run, of course, where they had gotten to the World Series in 17 and 18 and then missed out in 19. and then obviously won it in 2020 with albeit that 60-game season. Then, of course, last year, they knock out the Giants. They get to the CS, but they lose to the Braves, though, in a very fun NLCS, though. And it's just very hard, I think, for anyone out there, whether they root for the Giants or any team in this division. It's just hard, I think, for them to not look at the Dodgers as that team to beat with that lineup, with that rotation, with the bullpen, getting better with Kimbrel, getting Freddie Freeman over the offseason on a huge contract. And this is a franchise too, Brandon, who's just not afraid to throw away money. They don't care about the CBT. They want to go out there. And again, it's also LA. You have to have stars on your teams in Los Angeles. So with that in mind, though, Brandon, obviously the Giants pulled off a stunner with that entire run last season. Kind of a group of misfits who kind of got it together at this rate. But at this rate, though, more so, Brandon, who you got in this division?
Well, I mean, like James did, Arizona, Colorado are going to finish 4-5. Colorado 4, Arizona 5. The other three teams, San Diego, they got the Tatis. I forgot he was out for 3 months. Hopefully, he's back sooner. They're definitely going to be all three teams. I think first month of the season is going to tell a lot about it. It's either going to be a close race, or it's going to be somebody's going to run away with it right away. It all eyes points to the Dodgers being the team to run away with it. I hope not. I got the Giants taking it. It's probably going to be a close race. I got San Diego coming in second. I think they're definitely going to be a team to watch this first month and a half. Until we start seeing Tatis come back to kind of see where they're at. And I'm probably going to eat a lot of pie on this one, but I say the Dodgers are going to miss the playoffs. I think they're going to just falter. I hope it will shut a couple people up that I know. But, like I said, I'll probably eat a lot of pie in that one. But I got the Giants, Padres, Dodgers, the Rockies, and then the Diamondbacks.
So, John, we have one vote for LA and one vote for San Francisco. But however, though, Brandon and James do have San Diego, despite missing Tatis Jr. for at least the first 3 months, at least in the wild card conversation this season. But John, I think, like I said, it's just hard, I think, though, to not pick against Los Angeles in this divisional race.
Oh, it's simply screw the Dodgers. I have a pure hate for the Dodgers. It's like I have pure hate for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Cleveland Browns. I do not care what their record says. I do not care who they got. I don't care if they're better. I will not say those words out of my mouth. Those are curse words, and I would never say that out of a Padres fan. No, not going to happen. So I'm going to have to either say San Francisco or San Diego. I would rather be wrong than root for the Dodgers.
Yeah, I think a lot of people agree, which is why I'm not going with the Dodgers either. I'm going with San Francisco. But the Padres are on my radar for a postseason berth because I think, though, that despite what they did not do over the offseason, there's another, it's almost, John, in a way like, it's not really a new hope, but there's one more there. And his name is C.J. Abrams, who is probably going to make the Padres opening day roster to fill the void for Fernando Tatis Jr. while he's on the shelf with that fractured wrist to play the infield at least and play shortstop, maybe play some outfield, though. I know, of course, that James had a very valid point, though. Again, there's a need for a left fielder. There's a need for a closer. There is, roughly almost, there's one full day left before, in fact, we get to before we actually get to opening day on Thursday. But there's, one more day. And we saw the Padres, make a trade on Saturday for Sean Manaea from Oakland, who, literally started that game against the Athletics in Mesa for spring. So, but adding Manaea, though, guys, adds a humongous piece, though, to this Padre rotation, because right now Mike Clevenger is on the shelf right now with knee soreness, but also they said that we're not going to rush him back. So they're going to let him, be on the IL for a bit, let his knee get fully healthy as well. But also as well, just let him get more time because of his Tommy John. I know he had a very rough outing, though, but I think the knee was bothering him a little bit. So hopefully he'll be able to be in the fold, though. Blake Snell hopefully can have a bounce-back season. Guys, I'm intrigued, though, by Nick Martinez, a guy who has not pitched in Major League Baseball in quite a while. He's been over in Japan, though. and I've seen this kid throw a couple of spring games. He's been electrifying to watch though, with a wipeout slider, great fastball, great great command of the strike zone. He could be a wild card in this Padre rotation. Of course, I know about Mackenzie Gore maybe being a wild card in this rotation. Chris Paddock had a pretty good outing on Tuesday. Did cough up a tie game though against the White Sox in his final spring outing, but threw very well though despite that going on. But it will in fact though be a very fun race. But I do still think though all three teams I think get in, but I do have San Francisco maybe by a game again winning the division title over the LA Dodgers, with the Padres snagging a wild card berth as well into the postseason. And also a quick note from Big B with that as well, though, guys. 3 players in Major League Baseball, Rodriguez, Danny Santana, and Jose Rondon, were all suspended for 80 games due to the nature of PEDs being used. So certainly that is a tough scene to watch, though. But again, once more, Richard Rodriguez, Danny Santana, Jose Rondon, all suspended 80 games by Major League Baseball for performance-enhancing drug use and abuse of PEDs. Now that testing is back now all of a sudden in Major League Baseball. And my good man Joseph Miller writes in, I'd love to see San Diego win the division title. I, too, hate the Dodgers. That said, go Angels. That is definitely that. It's definitely, James, that meme of the two guys that are, going like this. And it's like Padre fans, Angel fans. And then right here, it's hating the LA Dodgers as James throws on the Angel hat. I love it already.
I agree.
But again, folks, fun show here with that. We'll wrap things up here and go on into everyone's final thoughts. All right, our time between the bases is running out on this season preview show for the 2022 Major League Baseball season. Big B, we'll start with you, buddy, your final thoughts, and welcome to Iceland, my friend. Glad to have you aboard finally.
Yeah, I'm glad to be on. Glad to talk some baseball for the second time tonight. One of my loves, Callan. I think me and you can probably talk baseball for hours, but can't wait for the season. We're less than, 40 hours away from first pitch in most areas, so I think it's going to be a fun season. I hope get a lot of action, a lot of new faces, a lot of old faces and new places. I just hope the races are good. That's all I hope for. And the Midsummer Classic, always look forward to that to see who's in it and who's out. But go baseball.
Yeah, go baseball indeed. After all the crap we've had to sit through for 99 days over the offseason, and now baseball's finally back. Mr. Alcorn, again, first-time baseball fan, man. I know you're looking forward to seeing this season play out, man. What do you got for your final thoughts?
Screw the Dodgers. Thank God baseball season is back. And again, screw the Dodgers.
Oh, man. James and I agree with that statement wholeheartedly. Mr. Gonzalez, over to you, man. Final thoughts.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. And yeah, I share the same sentiment with everyone here about LA. I just want the Angels to make the postseason. It's been a drought since 2014, was a game away in 2015. And since then, really hasn't been close. And I'm just hoping, injury-wise, it's not so bad for certain players. And hopefully the pitching's there now and the hitting is there at the same time, instead of one working and the other not. Seems like that was the theme last year. And I'm just hoping we have a great season and a great postseason, one to remember with the extra wild cards now in it. So, again, thank you for having me on, Callan and John, and I will see everyone next time.
Again, folks, we thank you all so much for joining us here tonight on this edition of Between the Bases. My final thoughts, again, a major thank you again to everyone who joined us here tonight on the program. Again, a thanks again to Ishmael Lancaster, Christy Wilson, for a bit, Isaiah Leung joining us for a bit as well, my good man Derek Nicoli, Joseph Miller, and a couple of late comments, guys, at the final strike here. Our good man Tim Hendricks, go Billy Martin, and go Brew Crew. Hashtag Bucks and Six for our resident Bucks fan, Tim Hendricks, joining us in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. joining us here tonight, and Tim being a huge Brewers and Bucks fan as well. So again, Tim, thanks for joining us here. But again, folks, we will try our best to bring Between the Bases back again next week when we, in fact, can talk a bit about the opening series in Major League Baseball after opening weekend does conclude this weekend. With that, though, folks, for Big B, Brandon Herrera, James Gonzalez, and John Alcorn, yours truly, Callan McClurg, bidding you a pleasant rest of your evening here on this Tuesday. Enjoy opening weekend, folks. We'll see you back here again sometime next week to talk opening series and see how our teams are doing after the first part of the season. We will, folks, by the way, let you know that we will, though, bring most of our guests on to do team reports. So, again, we'll have a report from the Angels and the Twins, the Padres, obviously, with me and John and some other of our fellow hosts, though, as time goes on. But, again, folks, for Brandon Herrera, James Gonzalez, and John Alcorn, yours truly, Callan McClurg, saying goodnight here from San Diego. We'll see you back here, folks, next week to recap the opening weekend of baseball Between the Bases back here on Ison next week. Till then, folks, good night. Bye-bye.
We would be honored if you would join us.